Hello Mousers, welcome to Thursday. The wheel of Thursday has spun round and come up with news, so we're going to have a look at some news. Oh, and just as an aside, remember what I said yesterday about Spain denying needing a bailout, so they would need it by next week? Well, guess what's happened today? I hate to say I told you so in these circumstances, but it was inevitable. First up is this idea of the European Banking Union. It came out last night that plans are ahead to unify banks in Europe in order to make sure that banks can't fail as easily and that we can sort out the European financial crisis. Apparently David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, has decided that it's not right to leave everything to Germany to sort out, which I totally agree with. It's not right to say, hey, successful economy, you've got to bail out all of those crappy economies. That's just not fair. That's punishing people for success, and I don't like the idea of that. But at the same time, an idea of a Europe-wide banking union that will somehow stop too big to fail banks from collapsing is just silly. This is going to be looked at very, very hard, because right now what that seems to suggest is we'll make a really big bank to prop up all the big banks. That's no. That's just silliness. That's trying to hold it up by the bloody strings when the foundations have fallen out. So that, I don't think that's going to work, but we'll see what happens, because let's face it, politicians are going to do what they want anyway. Speaking of things that are answerable to no one, FIFA have demanded that Brazil changes laws so that it can sell beer at the World Cup. Brazil banned the sale of alcohol at football matches in 2003 because of all the problems they were having with thugs and hooliganism, and I can totally see why that would happen. People that are stupid get drunk and they do stupid things. Violent people get drunk and they do violent things. Put stupid violent people into a situation where they can get drunk and you get hooliganism. So I can totally see why they would have banned it. But FIFA's come in and gone, but we have major sponsors who provide alcohol. You must provide alcohol. So apparently now Brazil is going to change its law because football demands it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't that be working the other way round? FIFA should be saying, oh, we'd better look for some new sponsors for this particular World Cup because we can't sell alcohol here. If they went to the Middle East for the World Cup, would they try and demand that the entirety of Muslim law change? No. So why do it in Brazil? Just leave them alone, have a couple of football matches where you don't get drunk. Just give it a try, it might work out. Speaking of things that are stupid, currently there are lots of claims that the Olympics brings in sex trafficking. And a load of police and thousands of pounds of British taxpayers' money has been spent raiding areas of London, especially the areas where the Olympics will be, in order to clamp down on sex trafficking. The problem is, sex trafficking isn't the major issue here. Let's look at it logically. The Olympics are coming for a couple of weeks. So, as a sex trafficker, would you decide to risk getting caught to bring in a huge amount of women from other countries to use in the sex industry? Or would you prefer to cut your losses by hiring British prostitutes? Now, I'm not going to say that prostitution won't happen for the Olympics, because I know it will. Anyone who wants a fast buck, who has no morals whatsoever, will try and do this sort of thing. They'll set up brothels. But bringing in people from other countries is risky, whereas hiring British women isn't quite as risky. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But just from a business point of view, it doesn't make sense. Cheap labour imports to make knockoff goods, now that makes sense. So a lot of the police raids should actually be focusing on sweatshops and things like that, because they exist and are prevalent. So let's clamp down on those, at least as well as prostitution, because both are a big threat. Okay, we've talked about beer, halls and banking. What else can we talk about? Oh, we've got some issues with water. As everyone knows, Britain is a massively rainy country. It's wet all the bloody time. But we seem to have a huge amount of droughts, especially in the southeast, where, to be honest with you, the pipe system could be better. A lot of water companies are getting a lot of stick for cracked pipes and just letting water leak into the water table, so that the stuff that they collect never gets to people who want it. But they'll still charge huge amounts of water rates to tax you for having water. And now some experts are suggesting that we have water meters that tax you higher if you use your water on the garden or on your car. I really don't know where to start on how bad an idea this is. For a start, how are you gonna know? if I go and fill a bucket from my kitchen and use that to water my garden or to wash my car, how will you know that I've done that and not filled up 3 kettles? Or if I want to hide the fact that I'm using a lot of water, why don't I fill up that bucket while I'm running my bath, and then you can't tell whether I used the water for a bath or not? It's a wholly stupid idea. The better idea would be to better work out where water should be stored and how to distribute it. I know we can't have a national water grid the same way that we have a national electricity grid, where everyone pumps into the same pool and then it comes out to wherever it's needed, because water can't be transported that way that easily. So we can't use what would be the best solution. Let's look at the second best, which is to work out where we need to put reservoirs and get water transport systems between the reservoirs so that they're always got enough in them. We've moved a few areas of the country onto different reservoirs for different water companies before, and that's worked out pretty well. So let's put the money into doing that rather than trying to tax people for stupid things. Okay, that's really all I've got time for today. We talked about beer, we talked about prostitutes, we talked about banks, and we talked about water. So that's pretty involved, pretty diverse. So I'd like to think that you've got an all-round idea of the news. So until tomorrow, I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching a video, and I'll see you later.